My name is Diana Wimple, and I'm running for Lassen County Auditor. There are many of you who are wondering who I am and what my qualifications are. Some of you have heard this speech before, so. I'm the daughter of Ed and Marlene Wood. I was born and raised in Lassen County, and I'm the 6th generation to live in Lassen County. And I'm a rancher, by the way. My family ranches. My roots run really deep. I have 3 children, Ryan, Reg, and Katie, all of whom consider Lassen County their home. But this isn't why you should elect me Lassen County Auditor. I have over 25 years of experience in governmental accounting. I served Lassen County for the last 11 years, the last 6 years as Assistant Auditor. Prior to that, I was the Fiscal Manager for Health and Social Services, the county's largest department. I know the duties of the Auditor are not well known, but they are a very essential component to the county's operation. The Auditor's Office is the business office of the county. One of the primary responsibilities of the Auditor's Office is to monitor public funds. We do this by making sure expenditures are appropriate and they stay within the budget that's been approved. Other Auditor's Office responsibilities include the calculation of property taxes and the distribution of the taxes to the different taxing entities, payroll processing, employee benefits, pensions, accounts payable, vendor payments, accounts receivable, and we compile the county's multiple financial reports and ensure that the county transactions and procedures are audited annually and timely. My years as Assistant Auditor have prepared me for the role of Lassen County Auditor. I recognize all the functions of the Auditor's Office, and I have the knowledge and experience to perform the duties of Auditor. I have the ability to lead the Auditor's Office to meet each and every new requirement of the office, and that the office will be mandated to perform. My knowledge allows me to support all the county departments in implementing new programs and assist special districts in meeting their financial goals and requirements. When it comes down to being qualified for the auditor, the best qualification a person can possess is experience and a passion for their work. And I do love what I do at the Auditor's Office. And I do love this county that we live in. As a long resident and mother of 3 children raised here in Lassen County, my passion for this county is what has led my desire to be county auditor. I am qualified to serve as Lassen County Auditor for the next 4 years. I will be successful in serving in this role. However, it's not up to me, it's up to the residents of Lassen County. And I would be honored if you will elect me as your next auditor. Thank you for your consideration, and I hope you'll vote for me on June 3rd. Thank you for your time.
I'd like to add that Mrs. Whipple, Eda Whipple now, it's a 6th generation ranching family in the Milford area. Fine family. It's a whole herd of them. I think if the family votes for her, she's automatically in.
If all the relatives vote, she's in. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Great. Any other questions here? Questions? Okay.
I do have one. You said that it's our county's audited each year.
Yes.
Now, are you mean within the county, or do you mean we have an audit from San Francisco, that firm in San Francisco?
We engage a different auditing firm every 3 years. It goes out to bid, and they audit for 3 years. This year, right now, we have a firm that's coming from Fresno.
Okay, so they do it
Annually
for 3 years, and then we switch.
They may go out to bid. They may be the same firm that gets it again, or it may be a different firm.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
I would like to. I'd like to know how you feel you will be up against the board with presenting things and not really opposing, but showing them what needs to be done when they're telling you no.
Well, I'm not a real comfortable public speaker, but I feel confident that if I have a message to get across, I will get it across to the board.
Yes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We appreciate seeing you and listening to you speak. Do you need to have an accounting degree, or Is it just your experience in the county?
There's many different levels of qualification for the auditor's office. One is a bachelor's with experience that goes along with it. There's also 5 years of experience within other department, or 3 years of assistant auditor also qualifies you to be qualified. I have an accounting degree from Hill Business College. It's not a bachelor's, but I totally focused on accounting when I went there. It was a 1-year intensive program. I've also, throughout the years, have taken multiple courses in governmental accounting and other related issues in order to stay up on government accounting, which just made me an expert in the area.
Well, one of the things I notice at being at the Board of Supervisors is often you take money out of one pot and you put it in another pot, and you're supposed to pay some of these pots back.
When they do a loan, they did a loan, yes.
And so, are some of these accounts they refer to, are they kind of like a bequeath from if I should die and I give $1 million to the county and I want it to be spent certain way? Is it up to you to decide where that money is being spent, or is it up to the board? So you have to, even though you're elected, you have to do what the board tells you to do?
As long as it is legal, as long as it is within policy and it follows the funding guidelines. Our job is to make sure that those are followed and that it's used appropriately. If the board determines that it's being used in something like that, something that's not supposed to, what it wasn't intended for, then it's up to us to bring it to their attention and make sure they know it's not appropriate.
So when an account is abolished, we'll say, someone says, well, we spent $1 million here on some project and we were supposed to pay it back. And then the board says, we will abolish not paying it back. You have no say. In other words, if they decide not to refund the account that they get the money out of. In other words, we have a debt, let's say $324,000 there.
You're talking about her.
Yes, that's exactly. I didn't want to say it. You caught me.
You're talking about her.
Yeah, and they just absolutely took it off the books.
It wasn't taken off the books. It was written off legally by statute, by resolution by the board. It wasn't just taken off the books. It was also noted in the financial statements and in the audit.
Okay, thank you so very much.
It didn't just disappear, but it was taken off by resolution by the board.
Thank you.
I have one more question here. It seems sometimes like they commingle funds, and that maybe funds that are designated for Category A happen to get into Category B, and then later they're moved back. Shouldn't those be kept separate all the time?
I don't know of any funds that are commingled. What example do you have?
I don't have one. I'm just asking a sort of a generic question about that.
Only time that funds are commingled, it would be, if, like, say, Health and Social Services, they have multiple grants for public health. All those grants are in one fund, but they are tracked within that fund by the department. So in that respect, those funds, I guess you could say, are commingled because they're in one cash balance, but they're tracked by fund and by reporting within the department.
So each department is the one that's responsible for keeping track of that?
If they have different funds coming into their department, yes. And we monitor that.
Can I ask one more question? You probably knew what I was going to Yes, I know. I would like to know if I could go into your office and say, I would like to know if I could look at the auditor's, how she spends her checks, like if an attorney is hired here locally, can I go in and say, I'd like to know who paid this attorney an amount of money and how much it is? Can I do that, or do I have to get a Freedom of Information Act, or can I just go ask you and make an appointment?
Basically, because you're not an employee, it has to be through the Freedom of Information Act, which is no big deal. I mean, it's absolutely no problem answering that question, but it does come through that.
And the auditor is also in charge of other boards in Lassen County, where they're fire district boards, all right? And if there is a problem there, I mean, don't you all get the minutes of those board meetings?
We do get the minutes.
And if
For most of them.
For most of them. Could you request those board meetings? Because if there is something like an embezzlement that that happened out there at Litchfield and Standish,
Uh-huh.
$10,000, you know, and the people that were involved in it were not notified that the embezzlement occurred until it was brought out of the board. And the point I'm asking is this, is it up to you to let us know when something like that happens, or does it have to be to the Board of Supervisors, or, because I know Jack Hansen knew about it.
I'm really not sure.
So what the chain of command is there?
Yeah, I'm
Something
not
happens?
positive on that chain of command.
Okay.
But I can definitely find out and let you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you. Okay, I think we'll go to the treasurer's office. I know Richard's here. From all, we have Brian, Nancy. Nancy Cardenas, you want to take the floor? Nancy Cardenas?
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come and talk to you tonight. My name is Nancy Cardenas, and I'm currently running for the position of Lassen County Treasurer Tax Collector. I'm currently the Assistant Treasurer Tax Collector. I've worked in the office for 15 years, and I've been the Assistant Treasurer Tax Collector for the last 9 years under Richard Egan. I kind of wanted to go over what it is that our office does. There are 3 divisions in the Treasurer Tax Collector's office. The Treasurer, of course, the Tax Collector and Recovery, Reimbursement, and Passports. And each one is a separate function, and they are all very, very important to the people in Lassen County. The Treasurer's main duty is that we're the bank. So we collect people's deposits or other entities' deposits, the college, the schools, special districts, the county. And we take those deposits and we scan them through to the bank and we invest their money and we take care of their bonds. And if, say, for example, the swimming pool needs to go out for a bond issuance, it's the treasurer that's going to go out and help find the financing for that bond issuance. The tax collector, we do taxes, property taxes. So we deal with people on a day-to-day basis, collecting their property taxes. We also hold tax sales. Currently, we have 65 parcels going to tax sale in Lassen County, and that sale will be May 10th through the 13th on bidforassets.com. And that's an important function of the tax collector's office because it gets properties that aren't being paid, that are on the tax roll, sold, and back on the tax roll, earning property taxes for the people of Lassen County. Collections, recovery, and reimbursement, that's the part of the office that deals with courts, fines, and fees. And we actually go down and collect public defender's fees for when people use the public defender, and we also collect restitution fees for when the court orders those. And then we also do passports. Everyone in our office is a licensed passport agent. And you can come to the courthouse instead of having to make an appointment at the post office, and we'll handle your passport needs for you there. Our office is always changing. We're always having to keep up with new regulations and for the banks and for tax codes and everything that's happening with the special districts within inside the county. We have to be on top of it, and we have to know what's going on within Lassen County to make sure that things are being handled properly and in a timely fashion. I also have a lot of community involvement within Lassen County. I'm a member of SR Optimist. I'm a member of PTA. My children go to school here. I have 3 children. They all graduated from Lassen High School. 2 of them graduated from Lassen College, and my 15-year-old is currently attending Lassen College. She doesn't know what she wants to be yet, but she knows that she wants to get some upper division English and math out of the way while she can. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. And again, I would just like to thank you for letting me speak to you tonight. And I would like to ask for your vote on June 3rd for Lassen County Treasurer Tax Collector. Jim?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. One is, how many people total of normal times work in that office? And number 2 is, what are the educational requirements once you've been in office?
Okay. Currently, I have a half of a staff person that works on the treasurer side, and her other half of her time is spent on the tax collector side. I have 1 full-time person that works on the tax collector side. I cover all of I'm the manager for the entire department, and then Norma and 1 other person does recovery reimbursement. So there are 5 people that were, plus when Richard was there as treasurer tax collector, but Norm is filling that in, so we do have a vacant position right now.
So, were you running the office before Norma came in? After
I am the
Richard was
manager.
CEO?
Well, no, Richard Egan was the treasurer tax collector, but I am the manager of the office, so I am there on a day-to-day basis, running the day-to-day operations of the office.
Okay.
And then what are the educational requirements? The educational requirements are similar to what Diana's office is. You can qualify by having a bachelor's degree in finance or accounting. You can qualify by being the assistant for 3 years. And I think, and you can qualify, there's a whole bunch of other degrees besides business and accounting.
Be CPA.
Could be a CPA, any type of degree that basically deals with finance. Pretty much qualifies you to run for the treasurer tax collector's office.
Okay.
Any questions?
I got a quick question.
Gary?
I'll follow up on Jim's. Those educational requirements or the required job requirements, is that a statewide requirement or is that a Lassen County requirement?
That's a very good question. Lassen County adopted the state statute as the county statute. However, the Board of Supervisors can go in by resolution and make it harder or easier, depending on what they want to do with the statute. That is just a guideline that is set by the state, and currently that is the guideline that's adopted by the county, is the state regulation, state statute.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Nancy. Can you restate what your educational background is?
My educational background, sure. I have an associate's degree from Lassen Community College in accounting, and currently I'm going to Western Governors University, which is basically an online university, to get my degree in accounting, and I will have my degree in accounting by December. That's my timeline to finish it.
And that's a 4-year degree.
That is a 4-year.
So it's a BA, but not a master's.
Oh, I do not have a master's in accounting.
Other questions? Okay, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Brian, the floor is yours.
Well, my name is Brian Olson, and I addressed you guys last month, so a lot of familiar faces. I believe that I'm a little bit different candidate than the other candidates that are running for this position. First of all, I'm a business owner, and I have been a business owner off and on for the last 20 years in the financial services industry. What does that mean to you? Why would that be important to you? It's important to you because I think that business owners think a lot differently about money. I found that to be the case a few years ago when I ran for city council, and that was kind of what got me going, why I got into city council, was because when I was chamber president, the Lassen Chamber, one of the things that we were finding is that the government wasn't responding. They were saying they were pro-growth, but they weren't actually acting on that. And so that's one of the things that, as we were sitting around a table one day as that board, we decided that we were going to run some candidates, and that's when Nick McBride and myself basically looked at each other and said, I'll do it if you do it. Some of the things that I've learned over these last 2 years by being on the city council is that the government, in fact, doesn't think the same about your money as you do. The government does have a, when it's your money, you spend it differently. You know, it's precious. You know what you want to do with it, what your goals are, and you're going to only spend your money, hopefully, on what those goals are. And I was finding that the government, over the last couple of years, we have made some changes, but they think differently. One example was when we were fighting for the pool. Now, there's a problem that's been going on for the last 10 years, and whether you're for the pool or against the pool is almost immaterial. What's material is that the community as a whole, I think, has decided that that's a priority and it needed to be solved. And so that's what we worked on this last summer and fall, was finding the money to make that happen. Now, during that process, and that's kind of what leads me to running for treasurer, is we found that the board of supervisors and the city council, they need good information. They need information that is not tainted by somebody's own agenda or thoughts. They just need the information and they can make their own decisions based on that. we felt that 0.2% of the county's overall budget and a little less than 2% if you're just talking about the general fund budget, 5% of the city council budget was a good way to get there. The direction they were going was that it was going to be on the ballot, and it was going to take a 2/3 vote to raise a sales tax or a property tax, and that's just, I don't think that was going to happen, and so that's why we went this other route. In my business, I'll try not to repeat myself too much from last time, but I do have a securities license, and what that means is I have a 6 and 63 securities license, which allows me to give information to customers about mutual funds and sell mutual funds. Last year, our office was the number 5 office on the west coast of the U.S., about 2,500 State Farm agents when it comes to bank products, which was your CDs and your bank, your savings accounts and things like that. So we deal with money every day in my office, and it's not just me, it's my whole team, and I think that that's important, is that I'm also a leader of a team. That being a leader of a team means that there are a lot of times when I'm not in the office because I'm off doing, the people, I'm a public servant, being on the city council, and so I've had to spend a lot of my time out handling those types of issues that come up every day, and you never know when they're going to come up. Just today I was at a LAFCO meeting, and we voted on the annual budget there. I sit on several boards that are city, county boards where I am in a position where I have to analyze expenses, I have to analyze what are the priorities, and I have to analyze, in the end, am I going to approve this budget or not approve it? And that would be LAFCO, it'd be what you guys would call the pool committee, Indian Lake Valley Recreation Authority. It would be the Transportation Commission, it would be the City Council, and Air Pollution. So those are the boards that I sit on. And over the last 2 years, every year those budgets come up and I have to match those. So anyways, am I qualified? So I know Jim's going to ask me.
That's it every day.
Am I qualified? Absolutely. When I first was putting my papers in, I made sure that I was qualified. I had my own interpretation of the law, and I suppose that some could say, they have a different interpretation, but I took it to the county clerk. She took it to county council, and my understanding is it's gone as far as the Secretary of State, and everybody has given it the okay. So all my years of experience, plus my 2-year degree in accounting, and such, that more than qualifies me for the position, as well as a bachelor's. So, anyways, open it to questions.
I have a couple, but I worked with the county for 30 years and
Yep.
budgets and stuff, but I guess I'm really confused with how you feel you're going to direct money for the pool and stuff when that's not the treasurer's job. I guess I'm confused where you think you're going to fit in with the money in the office, which goes to certain things only.
Well, for one, the treasurer of the county is the pool treasurer.
Yeah, but they're just the treasurer. They're not
But they're still there, and they're still in front of the board, and I have a lot of experience being in front of that board, and I think that I could be a checks and balance with the auditor to make sure. I think the treasurer position over the last while has become more passive and hasn't had as much participation when it comes to the budgeting process, and I think that it should be.
And then I have another question. How will you handle conflicts with your business when you've got people that you're collecting taxes with that could be a client of yours?
I guess I would handle it the same way I'm handling it at the city, because on city council I'm in the exact same position. And
Well, you're not though. The treasurer is a totally different.
But people come in front of the city council all the time, and they're looking for certain things to happen. They want to,
And you have 3 or 4 other people.
there's 4 others.
But with the treasurer, you don't. So I guess I'm wondering how you're going to handle a conflict with it.
So when you say conflict, in which way?
Well,
Because I'm not the assessor.
Sell property or something like that, and it happens to be one of your insurance clients.
You just do what you got to do. That being a public servant is going to supersede whatever I do on the business side. My wife and I are partners in that business. We're set up as a partnership, and she's going to have to start taking a lot more of that role away from me because obviously if I become the treasurer tax collector, I won't be able to be there all the time. I'll have to be serving the public.
So you're not going to be doing insider trading in that?
I won't be doing that.
You can sum it up.
Other questions? Joe?
Do you feel that you would work with the auditor to identify potential waste fraud and bring that to the supervisory board as far as we don't need these expenditures, we're having this money, we need this, as far as like you said you want to do checks and balances for the supervisory board, and with that, would you assist the auditor in identifying those things primarily?
I mean, sometimes it's just thinking about it differently rather than thinking about it the way that it's been done up until now. So at the city, I'll give you an example. When I was elected to the city, one of the things that they were doing was that the city government was set up as kind of a use it or lose it. Either you use your budget, or at the end of the year, don't come back asking for the same amount because, and I think a lot of government works that way. So one of the things we did is we actually took something from the private side and we said, hey, why don't we incentivize that department for finding their own ways to find that rather than just across the board saying you're going to take a 10% cut. So but when I say incentivize, they're keeping 30% of the savings that they can find in their own, they're the ones that run their department. They're the ones that are going to know it best, and they're going to know where they can cut and where they can't cut. But we want to incentivize that so that it's coming from them from the bottom up rather than the top down. So that's an example of something I think that could happen at the county as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That won't be a role. When I worked for fiscal officer for mental health, the treasurer tax collector had nothing to do with our budgets.
Okay.
You direct the money where it needs to be and stuff, but as to telling us where to make cuts and stuff, that did never come from the.
Okay, but he's saying in conjunction with the auditor's office, and so.
Yeah, but still, the auditor doesn't. I mean, the auditor tracks what the departments spend, but you have your general fund, which the board has the most control over, and then you have your departments that have their funds that come in that nobody else can touch. So you can't rob from one department to the other. You can't flip money.
But I think
So
that
I
ideas
guess
like
I'm
that.
confused where you.
But I think ideas like that could be applied.
Then what's the question?
The question, I guess I'm confused as to what he sees the position as, because I'm not seeing where you're going to be involved in budgets.
I'm just seeing that I think the treasurer should be. I think that most people in the community would think that a treasurer would have something to do with the budget. Now, the treasurer is not the end all, and that's especially not the way it's being done right now. But I'm basically saying that I think that the treasurer should have a greater role in working with the auditor and presenting to the board, the direction that should be there. Because like I said, when I saw some of the things that were coming when we were fighting for the pool money, I don't think that everything was above board.
But that pool money will be out of the general fund. It won't be out of
It is out of the general fund. So you're right. I'm not going to go after health and human service type money. I don't control that money.
Okay, I just wanted to, I have it clear in my head, because lucky me, I did mental health budget for 4 years, and believe me, it's not fun.
Any other questions? Question here.
Kind of along the lines of the first question there. How do you plan on proportioning your time between your own business and being an accountant?
So I think that's a fair question. And I'll just tell you that I stopped working full-time a long time ago. Not on the low side, on the high side. So if it takes 40 hours a week, I'll do 40 hours a week. If it takes 50, I'll do 50. I'm going to do whatever it takes to fill that position. And my business will not be just my business. Like I said, my wife is a partner, and she's going to have to take a much greater role. And I have a good team. That's what I do. I build good teams. And those teams, over the years, have been able to operate that office. Even now at City Council, some people would say, oh, at City Council, oh, you're just there for 2 meetings a month. No, I'm doing 20 hours a week already just on City Council, and it's not on a schedule. It's whenever somebody walks in the door and they want to talk about something. So it will have my full attention if I get that position.
Other questions? Harry?
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned the number of boards that you're on now. I'm assuming most of those boards you'll have to give up if you take
Yeah, so I'm there as a city council representative, so I would have to step down as being on the city council. You can't have two positions.
We'd also remove them from
That's what LAFCO and the.
Yeah, because that's all part of the same. That's all part of the same deal.
I'm going to say a question because that's been bugging me all this time. Why did you give away the grant money, $2.3 million, and not put in our beautiful Sierra Park that has bothered me so much? Because you said we didn't have $40,000 a year to manage it, but you think that the city has $200,000 a year to
Okay,
put
so
in the pool. So please explain the pool bit in the Sierra Park.
So Sierra Park. So Sierra Park was actually, it was submitted to the state for a $2.3 million grant. They received it, and the bad news is that they actually developed they planned a $4.5 million park. That's what it ended up being, was 4.5. Even after we dialed it back, it is true. I'm on that council. I know exactly what's going on there. Lino and I might disagree on that, but it was a $4.5 million park. Even when we dialed it back, it was still more than what we had in our budget to handle. If we spent, and I don't believe that $40,000 would have maintained that park, personally. But even if it did, that was $40,000. We don't have a lot of room in our city budget to be spending money on something that isn't the priority. And the pool, I believe now, and I believed it then, was the priority. And so if we took $40,000, that was going to kill the pool. Because we don't have $240,000, we have $200,000.
Any other questions? Real quick,
Can you tell me where the Sierra Park is? Is it out
Sierra Road.
Out Sierra Road past the? I was going to say, is it what road? Richmond goes out that way. What road?
Parallel.
It goes down
Weatherford goes out there.
Alexander.
Okay, and then you come to a dead end, and it's the Sierra Road.
Make a right and a quick left, and that's Sierra Road.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, how about the floodplain in that area? I know that the reason I'm asking the question because I know there was a subdivision that's above it to the east,
Right.
and there was a big kind of a problem with
Ruby right now
flooding.
brought us pictures of it all underwater. So yeah,
That's what I was saying. They had to do a lot of diversion so it wouldn't flood out in that area.
Right.
Isn't that a property privately owned?
No, it's owned by the city. There's 17 acres there that are owned by the city.
Oh, okay. There's a real tremendous flooding problem out there.
Well, it's a moot point now.
Thank you, Brett.
Okay, well, yeah, it is, but I'm just
Thank you for all the candidates are here today, and if you want to stick around and ask questions. Carol, what's going on real quickly with the Tea Party?